What's going on here, everybody? This is Nick from the Fanatics Podcast. So I'm giving my thoughts on Mickie James being in the Royal Rumble this year. I thought it was cool seeing her in the Royal Rumble. An Impact wrestler. As a champion entering a WWE pay-per-view. Yes, she's a WWE legend, but I thought it was cool to see her in there participating in the match. Wish she would have had a cool moment with against Charlotte Flair. Like a champion versus champion type moment in the Rumble. But I think it was fair for what it was. At least she didn't get eliminated quickly. She did get eliminated by Michelle McCool, which I thought was the best instead of getting eliminated by a current WWE star. I thought that would have made it a whole bigger deal than what it was. Like I said, I didn't mind Michelle McCool eliminating her during the Rumble. At least it wasn't a wasted moment. I hope they do more with this instead of just, a one-time thing. But I did like it. That was cool that she brought out the Knockouts Women's Championship. That was a cool moment, specifying that, they're working together. I think that was the first time, I believe it's the only first time that a championship from a different company was brought into the WWE. So I'm glad they were able to do that instead of just completely not even mentioning the fact that she's from Impact and that she's a champion. I thought it was a cool moment overall. Like I said, I really wish that they would have done some type of moment with Charlotte Flair, like a champion versus champion type moment, kind of signifying that, they're the champions of their respective companies. I thought it was just, sum it all up, I just thought it was a cool moment, very, very important in the wrestling world right now. Even though it wasn't really the biggest deal in the world, even though it wasn't a lot, it was still something. The fact that she was in it and she was recognized for her work being Knockouts Women's Champion and Impact. And for the entirety of the Royal Rumble, I think pretty much most of it was pretty bad. The men's Royal Rumble match was terrible from start to finish. I did not enjoy any of it. There was no star power in it. Like half the Rumble participants were a tag team. Literally 14 of the participants were in a tag team. They had Johnny Knoxville in it for some reason. No disrespect to Bad Bunny. He's great in the ring for a celebrity, but he did not need to be in it. Like I said before, Brock Lesnar, it was unnecessary for him to win the Royal Rumble. Should have been literally anyone else. The Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns match should not have ended with a disqualification. They could have continued that match and have one of them pin the other. I don't know. I just felt like it was a very poor booked event. The people weren't really paying attention to the Raw Women's Championship match. We already knew that Edge and Beth Phoenix were going to win their tag match. That should have been a WrestleMania match, not a Royal Rumble match. A lot of the match. I think the best match of the night was the Women's Royal Rumble, in my opinion. That match had a lot of people on their feet, compared to everything else. It did start off well with Roman versus Seth. Seth, using the Shield theme song, wearing the Shield gear, coming out from the crowd. That was a terrible booking. I still think Miz and Maurice should have won their match. A lot of people that should have won their match didn't win their match. So that kind of also brought it down a little bit. But, in general, I wouldn't rate it that high. Out of 10, I would probably rate it like a 6 at most. Mainly because a lot of people, like I said, didn't win their match that should have won their match. So I feel like it was just not a good pay-per-view. And I didn't get my hopes up. No, there's a lot of Forbidden Door talks. I did not get my hopes up, thank God. I've been trying to tell people to not get your hopes up because I knew this Forbidden Door stuff was going to be bogus. But yeah, just didn't think it was a good pay-per-view in general. We rated a 6 out of 10. I actually like and don't mind Ronda Rousey winning the Women's Royal Rumble. Thought it was the best fit. Did she look a little bit sloppy during the match? I'll admit, yeah, she did. Yeah, it's been a while since she's been in the WWE ring, or any ring if that matters. But she did look kind of weak, a little bit sloppy. I hope she gets the hang of it back again, trains, and gets into it again. But on who I think she'll challenge, I want Becky. It makes sense because they still have a lot of history. But I don't mind if she goes after Charlotte because she still has history with both of them. I think it would be better if she faces Charlotte this year at Mania, mainly because next year's Mania is in Los Angeles in a bigger stage, bigger area. I think since in Los Angeles, is going to be a bigger deal. And I think it's going to mean more if Becky versus Ronda takes place in Los Angeles. I think it'll draw a lot of attention. It'll mean, like I said, it would mean more. It would be a bigger deal if Becky versus Ronda took place. The one-on-one singles match takes place at WrestleMania 39 in Los Angeles instead of taking place at 38 in Dallas. Not saying Dallas isn't a bigger venue. I'm not saying it's a lower value town, but I do feel like it would mean more if it took place in Los Angeles. So I would rather have Ronda Rousey face Charlotte Flair for the SmackDown Women's Championship this year in Dallas. It's a more, like I said, Los Angeles is a more marketed, town, the city in the United States. I think that that card already, even though it's over a year from now, WrestleMania 39 is taking place in 2023, I still think that, and I already have a feeling that card is going to be a big card with a lot of big names on it. So I'm assuming that's why they're waiting for next year, or at least not waiting until now to do Becky versus Ronda Rousey. So I do think that this year's WrestleMania will be Charlotte versus Ronda Rousey for the SmackDown Women's Championship. So my thoughts on the Roman and Brock situation I had at the Rumble. Personally, I wasn't a fan of Brock Lesnar winning the Royal Rumble match. I thought that was a poorly booked Royal Rumble match in general. Poor decision on having him win it. I'm a big Brock Lesnar fan, but he didn't have to win he did not have to win the Royal Rumble match in order to challenge Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. I think that moment when Roman cost Brock Lesnar the WWE Championship, I think that moment right there pretty much solidified the fact that they will be feuding. You did not need to have Brock win the Royal Rumble to kind of start the feud. Like I said, the Roman point in the Brock Lesnar match, him costing the championship, was already the pinpoint of the feud starting again, leading to Mania. Did not need to win the Royal Rumble match. I could literally think of 5 other storylines that could lead them into Mania. Is it too much, the fact that they're feuding a lot? I know that's also a big complaint. A lot of people don't like the fact that they're feuding a lot. I personally don't mind it. People comparing it to Rock and Stone Cold, I don't. Is it OD? Is it a lot? Yes, it's a lot. But I think this is the end of it. I think it's because it didn't happen at day one. I get it. But if they would have faced off at day one, I think that would have been the end of the story. But the fact that they didn't, might as well, give them the Mania match. I believe their third or fourth time competing in a Mania match together. But it is what it is. I mean, hopefully this is the last time they're facing in the ring again for a while. But you know what? I just didn't feel like Brock Lesnar needed to win the Rumble to face Roman. Just thought that was a poorly booked storyline right there. I heard it was supposed to be Riddle winning it, but you know what? I just not a big fan of this. As long as they, especially the fact that he's in the now Elimination Chamber, is also a stupid idea. Seeing that they're unifying the belts, that's also a terrible idea. But I was a fan of it at first before the Rumble. Hearing all the rumors about them competing at Mania, now I'm not a big fan of it anymore.
We are back! Hi, and welcome to the Contenders Corner Podcast, where we talk everything that is wrestling. I am your host, Jason, and join me as I dissect this episode. HardTalk pay-per-view recap, the Royal Rumble. We're an unbiased show here, and we'll go into this episode with an open mind, whether it's good or whether it's bad. We aren't afraid to hit home some honest, thunderous thoughts here. If you're new to this, then please like, share, and subscribe, and comment in the comment section below, and share with us your opinions of what went down on Royal Rumble. Stay with us as we have a lot to discuss here. YouTube, are you ready? This is Royal Rumble HardTalk pay-per-view recap. Right, guys. What are your thoughts on the Royal Rumble so far? How did you fare it?
Very predictable.
Predictable in what way, Matt?
the surprises. You can predict the match results. It didn't have the shock factor from years ago. The only match I enjoyed was Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. The rest of the show was bang average, really.
Going into the card, what did you think of the card? Because I was a bit confused, really. Because obviously they had the Edge, Beth Phoenix, The Miz, and Maurice. What did you think of that match? Was there repeating previous matches in the past? Because they've had The Miz and Maurice do these kind of matches before.
Yeah, they have. I think that was a filler match. We know that. That was a placeholder, a time spot. Any match could have filled that time spot. That just happened to be the match that they picked for us.
Was it?
They let. It was. I'll give it a 3-star match.
Yeah, it was enjoyable for what it was, and it did do its duty. But I don't know. Should it have been at the Royal Rumble? Would you say?
No. If they did it at the Saudi show, I could probably understand.
Hold on. Let's briefly go into the match. Because obviously, like, it's been like, well, this type of match has happened before, and it's a filler match. Did you enjoy the match?
It was enjoyable. Like, it wasn't like not enjoyable. I won't say that. I will say you wasted a pay-per-view spot with sort of. Well, not a pay-per-view spot, a major pay-per-view spot, because there are only four pay-per-views a year that will not change. You have Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, and Survivor Series. Those are 4 epic pay-per-views where you can't have you don't have the luxury of misstepping with matches in those 4 pay-per-views as you do with others.
Carry on, Stacey. Welcome back, Scott.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you're saying, mate. Yeah, totally.
Like, the lights are brighter in those 4 pay-per-views.
Yeah.
So for you to that kind of match, the only pay-per-view that kind of match like fits is WrestleMania, because the build-up for it should be bigger, but the match should be better too. I'm not saying it wasn't a good match, but for a match like that, you have to build. That has personal stakes. That has storyline and ranking implications. It has all that. So, like, to kick the year off with that.
Would you say it kind of destroyed the shock factor, basically? Yeah.
I'll come back to this call, fellas.
Okay.
What have I missed?
So basically, we're talking about because we're going in for Edge and Beth Phoenix versus The Miz and Maurice, and basically I've said I've asked the question: have they repeated this type of match? Because they've used this type of match before with The Miz and Maurice. Yes. Like, kind of do like this relationship kind of like type matches where they go up against. They've done this before with John Cena and the Bellas and Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
And opening the year, would you say it kind of like destroyed the shock factor? Doing this type of match.
I think we all knew that they was going to build towards something like sort of that. I I mean, they've actually got out of the way early, so I don't know if they've sort of like rushed the feud, maybe between Edge and The Miz, because we knew it was going to happen. Royal Rumble was the most likely place for it to happen. So hopefully they actually go and move on now and not sort of drag this thing out for another couple of weeks, because that doesn't really need it.
Yeah.
I mean, they've had the feud. Edge won both times.
Yeah.
That's it. We're lying under it. We move on.
So hopefully they don't pick this back up. You know, with hopefully it's just been settled at the Royal Rumble. And
I would prefer it stays ended now. I would prefer it if they moved on.
Matt, how did you feel about that match?
I don't think it should have been a tag match. It just should have been straight up one on one. If the Miz got his win back, then you go to decide if it's Elimination Chamber in Saudi. I'd say last man standing. That's how I would have gone.
Before we rate this match, you know, the Contenders Corner match rating, how would you rate the match? Like, all of you. Like, I'll go with Scott.
Well, I haven't actually seen any of the matches yet. I only know the results. So, I mean, based on the storyline, I can rate the storyline. Yeah. Which I'll probably give it about maybe a 6.5 out of 10. So I think they could have done a bit more to build it up. I mean, when they had the Maurice's birthday, I think everyone expected someone to get a cake in the face. I'm not disappointed that no one did get a cake in the face, but you know, that's what it is. But
if you was to rate it out of 5, where would you be on?
5, I'll probably go slap bang in the middle, 2.5.
2.5, right. Stacey, how would you rate this match out of 5?
I'd give it a 3.
You give it a 3.
You're still talking about
The Miz, yeah.
Miz, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd give it a 3. Solid 3. A good early pay-per-view match. It's an opening quality match.
Okay. Matt, how would you rate it out of 5?
Yeah, I'd give it no more than a 3. Just, you know, they could have done more, but it wasn't a worse match. So, you know, yeah, I'd agree. Slap bang in the middle.
Yeah, I agree as well. And here on the Contenders Corner podcast, we're gonna give this a 3. Reason, the storyline it dwelled. They've done this type of match before. The match was okay. It did its duty. It was entertaining in its own right, and they did kind of well. And it was fun for any fan. You know, it was an opening match. Yeah, 3. I'm gonna go into what match should we do now? Becky Lynch versus Doudrop. Stacey.
Becky Lynch versus Piper Niven. Okay.
Yeah, I prefer to call her Piper, but that's just me.
How would you... the match... Was it...
The match itself, I'm going to give that one a 4. Right? You're edging into a 4 because they don't really let the girls go like they should. Okay? Because we've seen Piper Niven have some bangers before. Like, everyone here has watched wrestling.
Yeah.
And we know that wasn't her best match.
No.
And we all know that was not Becky Lynch's best performance either. And I understand, like, Becky's still on recovery road, whether we like it or not. She's in the prime light. She can't. I'm hoping by WrestleMania she's 100% to be able to do everything she could. Because I would like to revisit this match.
Did they put it out there too early, would you say?
What you saying, Anders?
Did they put this match out there too early? Becky Lynch versus Doudrop?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Like, if you're gonna push Doudrop, push her the same way you pushed Alexa Blair. Bianca Belair.
I think she should have won. If they wanted to push Doudrop, they should have made her win the Rumble and then go. Yeah, they should have done it that way.
Yeah, push her, get us. There are wrestling fans and there are WWE fans. There's no disparagement against which one you are. Just saying, there are those who didn't know who she was. So you want to build. You want them to build a catalog to believe that she's earned this title shot.
I feel you, mate. Yeah, I agree. Scott?
Firstly, I just want to say that as a British wrestling fan, how proud I am that an Irish woman and a Scottish woman is in a major title match on a major WWE pay-per-view. So I just want to applaud WWE for actually broadcasting the talents that was born and bred over on our part of the world onto a major WWE pay-per-view, which I think is an incredible achievement for British wrestling.
Oh, it is, definitely.
I mean, again, I haven't watched the pay-per-view, but I only know the results. But I liked the build-up. It was good that Piper even got the push in that position against Becky, even though I was 99.9% certain that she wasn't going to defeat Becky.
Exactly.
But, yeah, it's good exposure.
That doubt. They didn't build the doubt for us.
No, but I think it was great that she's got that exposure. I mean, she had a great run to the final of the Queen's Crown, which she unfortunately lost to Zelina, but it was a poorly booked tournament. So now to get her into the limelight on a major, one of WWE's big four pay-per-views against possibly one of their biggest female stars of the last 10 years. It's incredible exposure for her, and hopefully the experience will benefit her moving forward. That's one of my big hopes.
What are your thoughts on this, Matt?
I think what they could have done is kept her as a heel, make it like an unstoppable monster. Build her up week by week.
Yeah.
She's taken out one superstar, then two, then three. Build her up that way, and then say, right, she's ready. Give her a promo. Say, right, I'm unstoppable. No one can stop me. Then go after Becky Lynch, and take it from there. Not just give her a title shot straight away. Make her look weak. Like Scott said about the Queen's tournament. Yeah, they kind of maybe try to push her a bit too far and quickly. Just build her up bit by bit.
Personally, I think the whole tournament was booked quite poorly. I mean, look how many minutes each match got in the build-up to it. It's not exactly. It's not exactly broadcasting or showcasing their talents enough. They're not doing anything.
So, why did you? Okay, right. So, what are your thoughts on why it wasn't a poorly booked pay-per-view? Because loads of people have it's kind of been like a mixed kind of like. You got some fans saying it was poorly booked, and then you got other fans who enjoyed the Royal Rumble. Are you saying you're in that category? that you're okay.
On paper, it looks great. I mean, Lashley and Lesnar, we've been waiting years for that sort of matchup. Reigns and Rollins, the history between those two men, the story writes itself. I mean, you had the mixed tag match, they had the storyline behind it, which is fair enough. Lynch and Piper, which I'll call her from now on. That two homebred wrestlers from our part of the world headline a pay-per-view. In my opinion, on paper it looked brilliant. So I wouldn't say it's poorly booked as in the match card. I would probably say they could have done better in terms of the end results.
Okay.
I think on paper the card looked brilliant, in my opinion.
Well, the end results we'll touch on that in a bit. Stacey, would you say it was a poorly booked pay-per-view?
Poorly booked? No, absolutely not.
No.
Some things felt rushed. Some things felt like it took forever to get there. Like, I'll get to that later. But the one perfect gem, Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins was perfect. That was absolutely, because it had it all, right? Those two together always put on a great match. You know, due to years together. Like I said, I gave my thoughts on Miz and Marie, the Miz match.
Yeah.
The Piper Niven and
Becky Lynch, yeah.
Becky Lynch match. That I wouldn't say it was booked poorly. Like, I would love to see this match, but I would love to see Piper built better for the match.
Definitely, yeah.
Like, don't put, like, it's not like she's someone that everyone has fallen in love with, because we clearly know she is not yet. And that's actually how they try to make her like that. Everybody lovable, but nobody really knows her yet. You haven't put the time in to work with her like you did with Becky, like with a Becky Lynch, with the Charlotte, with help with Alexa Bliss. Like, you didn't put the time in with us, with her, as you did with them. Give us that. Make the payout worth it. Win or lose, make the payout worth it. That's all I ask.
Yeah. Thank you. We'll start off with what are your thoughts on Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins, the Universal Championship match?
That was 8 years told well in one match.
Definitely. I look the entrance. That was absolutely iconic. I loved the entrance.
You see what I'm saying? That was 8 years.
The way Seth entered that ring, it literally got into Roman Reigns' mind, and it was masterclass. It was masterclass. What are your thoughts on that?
Right, that's how a villain should be, right? Your arch nemesis should always have that one chink in your armor that only they can expose. That one believed advantage, because it's not always an advantage, right? Sometimes you awaken a sleeping beast when you do that. But for it to play out the way it did, right? For Roman to always question, because we saw it over the years, right? We saw this. Roman gets to the top of the mountain. Seth is the one thing he could not conquer. He found a way to beat Brock. He found a way to beat Taker. You know what I'm saying? He's beaten that. Seth was the one thing that kept just eluding him. And it almost came to a point where he finally got that monkey off his back. Yes, in a disqualification, but he got that.
He got it off his chest. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, like that rage, that frustration. Yeah. He dominated. He beat the frustration this time.
Scott, the story booking in the story booking into this match. What are you like? The whole outcome, like moving into towards this match. What are your thoughts on it?
I've always thought Reigns and Rollins was going to be a plan eventually. So that's why, in a way, I think it would make more sense if they kept Seth on the SmackDown roster instead of bringing in someone from Raw to challenge Reigns. Because I think for the last maybe year or two, if you sort of look deep into how WWE's booked it, the SmackDown roster has always been that little bit weaker than Raw, especially with Reigns as the champion. Now, it's a way of sort of protecting Roman's title reign, which they have done for the past 500 and something days. But I think to bring Rollins in, we always knew it was going to be a great match. It was always going to be a great story. And to my knowledge, as Stacey was saying about the chink in his armour, I don't think Roman has pinned Seth 1, 2, 3 in the middle of that ring. I don't think he's ever done that, to my knowledge. And they had the one title match back in 2016, which Rollins defeated Roman that night. And I mean, the story writes itself. We know the history between the two men, and even though Rollins did get the win, I mean, he's now going back over to Saudi Arabia to compete in the Nation Chamber match, and now it looks like Brock will be the one going forward. Now, should there not be like a follow-up to this Royal Rumble match? Should not be like another story? It can't really end it on a DQ. No. Because that's not the way to end it. I think it should be a rematch where Reigns does pin Seth 1, 2, 3, or chokes him out to the guillotine. It has to. I think Reigns needs to beat Rollins for this storyline to move on. I think.
Yeah, he's got to get a win on Seth. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, he has to beat him.
Matt, what are your overall thoughts on this match?
Just everything about it was just golden. And like Scott said, I do think there should be a rematch down the line. But like you say, with Brock being in the chamber, I could see there being interference in the chamber with Reigns.
Interesting.
And I could possibly see him trying to take out Seth, which will give Brock the advantage. So he tries to save Seth, but Seth gets taken out the way for Lesnar to go after Lashley and end up maybe winning the championship, and we could have that champion versus champion match.
Interesting. So you're saying...
I got another question. Does anybody see with the roster being cut down in size, do they see them going to a single title, back to a singular title?
Say that again, sorry.
Could do.
Because that's what it's looking like it's getting built for. Hey, look at it, right?
Well, I think it needs to build. If they are going to go down that path, it needs to build. The only way to do it may be Reigns and Lesnar, champion v champion, winner takes all.
Yeah.
So you reckon they're going to bring the Undisputed Championship back?
Not the Undisputed Championship.
No, but they're going to unify the belts, basically.
I don't want them to. But there's just so many clues there that they're using Brock to do it with.
In a way, I'm a bit confused by the booking. Obviously, we were going to have Reigns and Lesnar was supposed to happen for day one, and then it didn't happen because of the COVID test. Then Brock beats Big E. I mean, the whole plan was Reigns versus Lesnar. Lesnar then loses the title to Lashley. And if Brock wins that title back in the Chamber, I'm just going to think, what was the bloody point in having him lose to Bobby Lashley in the first place? They should just...
That's a bit confusing. They should have kept that on Big E, really.
Well, yeah, they should have, and have Lashley beat Big E. But putting Brock into it, I think it's just... Yeah, the story end game is Reigns and Lesnar, but they're putting too many turns into it, I think. They're putting too much into it.
We're moving into this now, Scott. So, right, Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley. What are your thoughts on this?
Unnecessary.
Well, the title change might not have been necessary, especially if if he's like drop it back to Brock at Elimination Chamber, which I'm sort of expecting at the moment because of the way things are going. I've been wanting to see this match for ages, and obviously I think the right man ultimately did win. Because if they was going to do it, I think Lashley would have been the right man to win.
Yeah, but I wanted the right man to win. Yeah, I wanted Lashley to win, but I wanted him to win it the right way. For them to do an interference, I think I wanted it clean. I wanted it to be clean. Like the interference with Roman Reigns wasn't needed, and then Paul Heyman. I don't know why he's flip flopping around between Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar.
It's just confusing, and it's just too much.
Because it's confusing now. Because it's like he's betrayed Roman Reigns, and then he's flip flopped back to Brock Lesnar, and now he's flip flopped back to Reigns. I'm a bit lost.
So am I.
What are your thoughts on that, Stacey?
The Paul Heyman situation.
The whole match. The whole match in itself.
The whole match itself.
Yeah.
Like, it was what I expected. Like, as a fight fan, I watched them in their actual fighting days. So there's always that sense of I really want to see this matchup one way or another. But the title change, I believe, was unnecessary. Like, if you're gonna take the title off of Brock and put it on Bobby, you have to. This is why I say it looks like they're going down some cheesy unification match. Because now you have Brock having to go through this elimination chamber to get the title back when you didn't have to do that. Well, you had to do. I understand because you had to make Brock win the Royal Rumble. I get that.
Yeah.
All right, but then to put Brock back in the elimination chamber.
I agree.
Like, we could get 2 more title matches out of Bobby Lashley before WrestleMania, but now we have to hold our breath to hope for something like that, right?
I think as wrestling fans, we should hope and pray that Lashley wins.
Yeah,
because it's all about putting respect on the title, and that's something that WWE are not doing at the moment.
Yeah, it's either, I would love to see another WWE title picture. Obviously, they put Big E on SmackDown permanently. Cool. All right, you took him out of the title picture. I understand. I don't care. All right, because you now have the New Day versus the Bloodline fully. So we'll probably have to see Big E as the Universal Champion somewhere down the line, or the entire New Day as full champion somewhere down the line.
Interesting. Matt, what are your thoughts on the Lashley match?
Well, with the like you say, him defeating Lesnar to favour on for the chamber match. What if they pull the ultimate swerve? Have what they speculating on the original winner, which was Riddle. Have Riddle to win the chamber match, and then have Riddle versus Randy Orton for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania.
Oh, the ultimate bloody hell!
Oh yeah,
that is interesting, Matt. That is interesting. What a swerve! That would be fantastic if that happens.
You got that, or you got the most stupidest thing we can ever think of is Vince goes absolutely booking crazy, and he books Austin Theory to win the championship.
Oh God, I hope not. I hope not.
Now, if he does that, then you know he's lost the plot.
There's two people I don't want to see win: Theory or Lesnar. I don't want them to win purely because Theory, I think, is too soon. Brock would just be too confusing for the storyline.
Yeah.
I just think, well, you should just kept the belt on Bobby in the first place.
Then somebody has to pull double duty at WrestleMania if Brock goes into WrestleMania as champion. It's going to have to either be Brock or Roman.
God, yeah. Well,
yeah.
The Women's Rumble. What are your thoughts on this? The surprise.
When I looked at the results next morning, that's the one I shook my head at. I'm not going to lie. Out of all the results, that's the one I went, seriously? Seriously? Ronda Rousey?
Oh, we knew that was happening.
Oh, yeah, we definitely knew that.
I mean, I get what what Vince is thinking. He's thinking Rousey and Lynch. That's exactly what he's thinking. And
did she deserve to win then?
Yeah. It's coming, and I really hope Becky beats her properly again this time. So come on, Becky.
Come on. Well, if it wasn't going to be Ronda Rousey, it would have been Charlotte Flair, and that's why I'd have preferred it to have been Ronda, but I wanted it to be someone else. But
well, in my predictions, I put Lita.
Yeah.
Purely because she's heading her build-up. She's never been in a Royal Rumble match before, and she thinks she has one more run left in her. So I would prefer to see her win the Rumble and then face Charlotte at WrestleMania. But it looks like she's getting a title match in Saudi Arabia, so all's well that ends well.
No harm, no foul, right?
So that's the thing, is that will she defeat Becky?
Well, now I don't think she will, because the risk of losing out on Becky versus Ronda is too strong for Vince.
Yeah.
I think Becky versus Ronda is a bigger sale. It was a bigger sell than Lita versus Ronda.
What about the returns? Was there a shock factor in them? Because you had
not really.
Kelly, you had Mickie James as the Impact Champion. She come over. Nikki Bella, Brie Bella, Michelle Cool. What are your thoughts on those?
It probably would have been better if they didn't advertise them. That way, the returns are more shocking when you don't advertise them.
Okay. Matt, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree. If you want to get people, watch your product. Just, tune in and then say number 14, you're like, oh my God, she hasn't been in WWE for like, say, last 10 years. Shock. The shock factor. Bringing someone new, someone fresh from the outside.
Exactly.
You could have used NXT 2.0. You could have had the up and coming stars from there. Focus on NXT.
And they haven't even put. I don't think none of them was used, was there, this year?
I don't know. I don't think they were.
No.
I heard they were backstage, but they weren't used.
They weren't used, no. Right, we're moving into the Rumble. What did you think of the men's Rumble? We'll start with Stacey.
Which match?
The men's Royal
Men's Rumble.
Ooh, okay. Let's talk about ups and downs, shall we?
Go ahead. This is HardTalk.
Alright, so the Kofi botch. Ooh, that was a long time coming. We've been waiting on this one. For him to finally mess up in the Royal Rumble. And what did they do? They skipped past it. I like the idea of Brock winning the Rumble to get at Roman.
Mm.
What I don't like is that impeding on the WWE title picture.
Not necessary.
Yeah, not at all. You want to be on your revenge tour? Get your ass on SmackDown, get on the revenge tour. Whereas we can book Bobby versus Seth Rollins. We can book Bobby versus somebody else.
I just think it's like he's lost that match, and then okay, here you are. Here's an opportunity, and bang, he's won the Rumble. And it's like it just like I don't know, it just shuts out all the other guys who have been there for like a long time, you know, and they deserve more. Like I've really wanted to see Robert Roode get into that title picture. You know, you got Dolph Ziggler, you got Randy Orton, and I know it's been like 2020. We have seen him as champion, but like, come on. There's Riddle. He's been there for a while. He ain't been in the the main title picture. You got Kofi Kingston. He's only had one. He's only had that championship once, and then he got blindsided by Brock Lesnar in less than 10 seconds. And it's like, hang on a minute. At least give him a good run for the title. With the title, you have Sami Zayn, underused, Sheamus. We haven't seen him as in the title picture for a long time.
There's only one person to blame for that. Shane McMahon. Because Riddle was, according to reports, Riddle was booked to win that match. That was what Vince wanted. Shane took over the reign of the match, inserted himself into number 28 or whatever he was, and had Brock Lesnar win it. And Vince, according to reports, is not happy at all. Now, Brock winning does make sense in the scheme of things with Roman. But the reason Brock won is purely down to Shane McMahon. Because he took over as the road agent for that match. And that's probably the reason why Brock has won. No disrespect to Brock, but if it wasn't for Shane McMahon, we wouldn't be in this position.
What are your thoughts?
Shane McMahon is now.
Yeah, go on, Matt. What are your thoughts on this?
Like Scott said, obviously Shane was like the head booker for that match. Well, look at all the backlash from that event now.
Yeah.
Now that all the negative comments, Vince has apparently let Shane go on the quiet. So there goes his WrestleMania comeback. There goes his Saudi Arabia matches as well. And to actually fire his own son is a big slap in the face, really. And technically, Vince apparently wasn't even at the event.
Yeah, I mean, what's the point of that? I mean, it's one of your big four shows. You expect him to be there in the gorilla position.
Unless, because his mother passed away, that might be the reason. But wouldn't you want to give it to someone that you trust, like, Triple H or, Shawn Michaels, someone you can actually hand the reins to book a decent show.
So, what went wrong on the night then?
Well, I think Shane changed the original plan. I mean, in wrestling, the end result is very, very important, and Shane adjusted it. And I think that Shane tried to get his ideas on board. Vince was kiboshed them, but then he took advantage of the fact that Vince wasn't there and played the story into what he thought was best. It's not worked out well for him because now Vince has to really work. Maybe that's why Riddle's in the chamber, and maybe that's why we might get that swerve. Who knows?
It could be interesting if we do end up having that swerve. But anyway, how would you rate both of the women's rumble and the men's rumble?
I would say 2.5.
For which one?
I would probably say 2.5 for the men's. And probably an average 3 for the women's.
Okay. Scott? For story. And
from people I've heard, I mean, I've heard people's opinions on social media, and the women's rumble is talked about in a higher regard than the men's, because I think the men's, a lot of people are frustrated about Brock winning for obvious reasons, but I mean, I was more frustrated with Ronda winning, because especially after the comment she left about wrestling fans and in general, she left on, some would say, slightly bad terms, and then she waltzes in, wins the Royal Rumble, and it's like, I mean, that's why I was like, seriously, Ronda? I mean, although a lot of people are saying, seriously, Brock? I mean, it's disappointing when the general reaction amongst fans is like, seriously. I mean, we want obviously the ideal is to people to be like, yeah, that was brilliant, but sadly we're not getting that, and that's why you're disappointing, because obviously you're not going to please everyone. There's no such thing as a perfect wrestling company, because not every decision is going to be favourable to every fan. But in terms of results, I mean, I could have been a lot happier. I mean, I'm not quite so happy with the end result, but you know, it is what it is, and now we're on the road to WrestleMania now, so hopefully they'll put it out at Mania. They'll put it off.
What's your rating on this, Stacey? The men's and the women's rumble?
Stacey's not here.
Oh, he's gone, has he? All right.
Stacey's left.
What about the Brock Lesnar Bobby Lashley match? How would you rate that?
Well, I'm glad Bobby won. Obviously, without seeing the actual matches, I'm just judging by the results. I'm happy Bobby got his win.
Yeah.
Obviously, circumstances, it wasn't clean, as you say, but hopefully he keeps the title in the chamber. If not, it goes to Riddle. I mean, so either Riddle or Lashley for me, and then hopefully at WrestleMania we get something better than what we did on Saturday night.
Matt, how would you rate the Brock and Bobby Lashley match?
I'd probably rate it about a 4.
A 4. It was a fantastic. Well, I would say it was impressive up until the point where it just got confusing at the end, I think the end was just a bit too confusing for me, and I would rate it
a little bit too much.
Yeah, I'm going to put it at about 3.9, 3.8 on the Contenders Corner podcast.
Although I must say, in the build-up, Brock Lesnar was very, very funny on the mic.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think some of his best promo.
That knock joke was absolutely immense. That was so funny.
Also what he said to Corey Graves at the weigh-in, I think was absolutely hilarious. Actually, I roared out laughing when he told Brock was overdressed, and Brock turned around with the. Obviously, when I'm on YouTube, I'm going to be on YouTube, so I'm not going to say it, but I think you know what Brock said to him about removing his clothes. That was absolutely hilarious.
The Universal Championship match, Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins. How would you rate this?
Well, I've heard that it was good. Obviously, from a storyline purpose, it was very good. But I mean, with the DQ, I want more.
Yeah,
I want something more moving forward. I don't want to see that storyline end on Reigns winning by DQ. I mean, Seth's now back on the Raw side of things in that title picture, but I want to see more from the Reigns-Rollins storyline. I don't want it to end there.
Matt, how would you rate this match?
I would rate it 4.5.
Yeah, I'm going to have it as the Contenders Corner podcast match rating for this. I'm going to give it Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins. I'm going to have this as a 4.2 out of 5.
Very specific. Right, I'm gonna head off. If you're still here in about 15 minutes, I'll come back on and do a little bit more. But I've got duty calls, I'm afraid.
Yeah, that's anyway. This is Hard Talk pay-per-view recap. We're gonna have a little bit added on to this as a bonus cutscene, guys. So you'll hear from the Ring Fanatics podcast, and that will be added in on the end of this show as well. So you'll catch this on Hard Talk pay-per-view. This was the Contenders Corner podcast to bring you a Royal Rumble pay-per-view recap here on our first episode of Hard Talk. Here, your special guests, Scott, Matt, and the voice of Stacey as well. And thank you guys for viewing this episode, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Matt, for appearing. Thank you, Stacey, as well, for coming into this podcast. We'll catch you again. Thank you, guys. Thank you.